Hi, this is Janos, it's Real World Audio, and I really hope that you remember that a short while ago I had a poll on my channel. So far that was my only poll, and I never really talked about the results, and in that poll I really asked about what would you like to hear for a loudspeaker project, like a small one, like the Le Petit? Are you interested in building a small cabinet with a tiny driver, or you want to see a bigger driver, like an 8-inch full range driver, and how to build a cabinet with that? And I think I had a third option as well in it, which escapes my mind, so I'd better check about it. But for now, I am just looking at Eric's comment. It would be interesting to scale up this design for larger drivers, no? And he was thinking about the Le Petit project. And of course here he also expressed his desire to have something like the Le Petit, but with a bigger driver, because that driver, the Le Petit, is just a 4-inch, a 10 centimeter diameter driver. It's really tiny miny. And it's absolutely perfect though if you have a very small room, or if you don't listen to excessively loud music, and you want a sound that's similar to an Altec sound, the voice of the theater sound, but it's kind of like almost an unobtainium to get a voice of the theater in your home, and to scale it down, that's something like the Le Petit, and then you get a touch of that type of feel, how that presents sound to you. And if we want to scale it up more, to have it more dynamic and wider frequency response, to approximate more the voice of the theater, then of course we can do that with a larger driver. And I really promise that I will give you guys a bigger cabinet than the Le Petit. And actually what we are doing now with Jürgen, the I Am Mad channel, he is there, and he was the one who built that first Le Petit that I have shared a lot about, and on his channel he's talking about it in depth, how he developed it and what is his experience with it. And actually I have received many comments about the sound samples that he shared with me and that I posted on my channel. Some of you think it sounds really nice, but I had others who said it's through YouTube it sounds like crap. How can anyone like that speaker? And Jürgen emailed me that he had someone he didn't know visit him, and that person heard the Le Petit real life, and was totally astonished that how the speaker sounded, and was like taken by a giant surprise that those tiny drivers in that speaker sound like that in real life. So that's why I say don't believe every sound sample you hear in YouTube, because maybe you are getting an impression how it sounds in real life, but maybe it's really far off. I already talked about this several times in my previous videos, that sometimes your DAC, oh my computer, oh my god, it died. Battery says no. So I just put it on the side. So sometimes when your digital gear is matching with that digital gear that recorded the sound and did the codec for the sound, then you can have a reasonable gauging about the tonality and the impression how those speakers sound, how in that system that was recorded. But if the two don't jive together, you will get something that's truly far out and truly has very little to do what that gear sounded in real life. And that's the reason why there are many people who have audio showrooms and they absolutely forbid you to make recordings, because it can either give some impression which resembles what was heard there, or it can give a totally off impression that doesn't have any kind of relationship with the sound you heard. And it's not the person's fault who made the recording, and it's not the gear's fault or whatever how it comes out, but it's totally the interaction between that recording method and how you hear it. And I think Linton Farah, he commented several times on the Loudspeaker sound samples that it sounds like crap, and he can't understand how anyone can like that sound. And for him, my answer is that I watched those sound samples on several systems. On my laptop, when I watch it, it sounds like pure crap. And I agree with him. It's so colored, so distorted, so weird. How can anyone listen to that, let alone call it any kind of quality of sound? When I listen to it on my computer at work, it sounds like whatever. It's pretty good. It's pretty decent, but it has a lot of failings, a lot of problems with it. And when I listen to it on my voice over Lancelots, on my main audio system, it's like, holy shit, this sounds pretty amazing. This is just fucking... I'm sorry, pardon my French. Monsieur, pardonnez-moi pour mon français. But it slipped out. And that was kind of like my eyes too, like, popped out. Wow, this sounds really nice. And then Nelly said too, wow, this sound, Jürgen's speaker sounds really good. But you see, that's why I'm telling that it's really hard to judge based on YouTube sound samples, because it can give you really the exact opposite how something sounds in real life. And that's why I said, like, just do not judge. Listen, if you know this experience that something sounds like crap, and then people are saying, oh, it sounds really good, then I would suggest deeply to listen to it on different setups for yourself at home, especially like YouTube videos. And you will notice, and you should notice, that they will sound night and day compared to one system to the other. And if you do it many times, then you will see a consistency that certain type of gear do prefer certain types of sound. But you will get this experience after listening to these things like hundreds and hundreds of hours and many systems combinations. But of course, most of you have only one source where you listen to with your YouTube videos, right? But if you do that, this is my fair warning, and this applies not only to Jürgen's sound samples and the sound samples I post on my channel, it applies to anything and everything you hear on YouTube. That judge at your own peril, because what you hear might be really far out from what the reality is. So, and you would be saying, so Janos, why are you trusting what you hear on your voice of Lancelot versus what you heard on your computer at work? How can you trust that better? And my answer is that I have made many sound samples on my own and listened to them at my home computer, on my laptop, and on the voice of Lancelot. And I can tell you guys that the voice of Lancelot, how it reproduces it, is just friggin' accurate and always matched in tonality and in experience level, just the exact mirror replica of what the recorded thing that sounded was like. And sometimes it does like a freaking astonishing things. Like one thing you guys noticed, do you remember that video that I recorded the wood here upstairs with the void pipes with Nasir Sharma, and when I played that on the voice of Lancelot, it was just, I had a trip, and I really had a big disbelief moment, because it sounded even more natural, even better than the original recording that I have recorded, and it was totally faithful to it, down to the T, and the faithfulness was regarding to that when I played the Nasir Sharma wood on the void pipes, it sounded that there's an oud player playing his oud in my living room. And why I had that impression? Because I have heard oud being played several times in close proximity to me, and my grandfather, he had a mandolin, which is a little bit similar instrument to an oud. And also if heard many times my friends playing guitar, professional guitar players playing guitar, close proximity to me. So I know how a stringed instrument the size of an oud sounds when it's played next to me live. And that's the exact feel that I got with the Cube Audio driver driven void pipes upstairs here in this very room. And when I played this, I recorded this, and then I uploaded it to YouTube and listened to it downstairs with the voice of Lancelot, and that was trippy, because it felt that what I was hearing down, that was sounded like the original live event, of which what I heard here upstairs, that was the recorded version of it. And I have no idea how it did that, how it just added an extra layer of naturalness to it and extra layer of credibility. It should not be possible physically, but in every way it was really faithful to the experience that I had here. And when I listen to other things that I heard that being replayed there, it just gives me such a deep immersion to the sound that I am very confident to being able to call it as a reference and share that reference experience with you on this channel to help guide you. And if you would kindly accept this help from me, I'm here to give it. And if you think, it's crap, or I don't believe you, Janos, just take your garbage and pedal elsewhere, fine. You don't have to, take it for granted. You don't know me personally, you haven't seen me personally, you haven't heard my system live, so you cannot judge by it. So that's it. And but that holds true for everyone you hear on YouTube, and just think about it. Just look at the people, look what they represent, look what's the hidden motive behind what they are doing. Me, I do not have any hidden motive. I'm not selling anything. Whatever I have, I share freely. I share the plans of my things that I do. I don't charge for it. I'm not manufacturing anything to sell anything for you. By the way, there's a nice change coming. There are several changes coming in this holiday season, and so many of you have asked that you would like to give donations to help my channel, and that will be a big change. I will make that happen, and more on that later. So then you could say, oh, no, I'm not sure I have financial interest in it, but it's still not something specific. I'm still not selling something for which I demand money, and me saying, you know, extolling my crap is the source of my revenue. There's no the scenario is not that. So I don't have interest in that, and frankly, I don't care which audio path you have chosen, whether you like solid state amplifiers or tube amplifiers, whether you build your own or whether you want to purchase your own, whether you want to listen to digital only or just turntables only or reel-to-reel only, or you are a musician and you just want to, you know, listen to your own recordings. I'm really here for all of you, because I can give advice for every situation that you are in, and that's because my mentor was Stu. He was a very special person in that regard, that when someone turned to him, he did not force his views on the person, but he found out what the person wanted and what was his system, what was his goal, what was his dream, and he knew how to help that person to fulfill that dream. So I learned this type of skill set to be able to help in a really wide range of scenarios. And yet, when you watch my videos, you will see that most of the time I talk only about certain things. So I really prefer to talk about tube amplifiers. I prefer to talk more about vinyl, about turntables, more than about digital, more about high sensitivity, high efficiency loudspeakers than inert loudspeakers. But that's because I have a personal preference for them, and if you don't have a personal preference for something different, that's totally okay. And I'm not here to judge, not here to belittle your achievements or your joy or your taste. I really think that if your taste is totally opposite than mine, for me that's 100% acceptable. And if you, when you enjoy it and love it and want to grow that direction, I do support you 100%. And when I recommend that path that I have chosen, I only recommend it for you to take when you are unhappy with what you have. So if you are unhappy with what you have, then changing your path has the highest potential to give you what you want, versus to keep doing whatever you are doing. So if there's this big universal truth out there that I'm sharing, that if you do the same thing you've always done, you are getting the same results you always got. So just remember that when you are choosing audio decisions in your life. And that's why my channel is here, because I can point out different directions than what the mainstream is. And I think that's why that's one aspect of my channel that is tremendously worthy and worthwhile and just a treasure on YouTube, because 99% of everything on YouTube is about the mainstream, about inefficient speakers and that type of mentality that gets you a certain type of sound. And if you want to get that sound, you have all the advice in the universe to get it. But if you are unhappy, there's no advice for you. How on earth you find that advice? That's why I'm here. real world audio to give you that sort of advice. So if you are in need of that kind of advice, then I have hundreds of videos on my channel for you already. And if you want advice just to tweak and spruce up your system, that's a mainstream system, and you are satisfied with it, then you can find that advice as well here. And if you have a question, just type it away in the comments. Even if it's unrelated to my videos, just post it under the latest videos, and I will try to answer it, provided I can find the time, which is not always easy. So thank you guys for your patience and for waiting with those answers for the comments, and have an awesome day. Bye bye.